We're getting set for race 2 in the opening round of the TCM series for 2017, and for 3 laps in yesterday's race, Matt, we had Johnson v Bowe at the front of the field. Unfortunately, Lady Luck has not been with Stevie J this weekend. He's had mechanical problems with Mustang Sally all weekend. It resulted in a win for John Bowe. So Stevie J will go from the back of the field in this. He will work his way forward very quickly, though.
And hoping just to get the car home. It was another oil line that split yesterday on the Team Johnson entry that was launched here on Wednesday afternoon.
It was a different one, though. It was power steering on Thursday throughout practice and qualifying, and yesterday it was actually the main oil line to the engine that popped. So unfortunately, real dramas, and he had to pit that car. But he was leading the race at the time, and he took some solace out of that he beat his old mate JB into turn 1 and led the race. There's Jim Richards, the Shannon's AMC Javelin. He'll start this race from just outside the top 10. Bowe goes from pole. Really good drive yesterday from Adam Bressington, who was second in the Chevy Camaro. That's a local team, White Line Racing. They're based about 25 minutes from the circuit, Matt. Really proud parochial South Australians like you and I.
You and I, yeah.
Bronx, which is nice to see. And they had 2 cars in the top 5 with Mark King P5. So really good performance by the locals racing on home turf.
Wasn't shocked to see Ryan Hansford's effort yesterday aboard the Tirana, the multi-spares entry, stepping across to Touring Car Masters this year after a long stint in the V8 Youth Series. Fantastic day outside here. It's still a bit warm, but similar to the conditions we had on Thursday. Tomorrow's race number 3, I think, is going to be in ideal conditions where we're going to be just below 30 degrees, and that's what we like about this place in Adelaide. The Clipsal 500, here's the grid for race number 2. It's Bowe and Bressington on the front row, Hansford and Fisher on the second row, back to King and Cam Tilley, Jason Gomersall and Brett Gilden, Tony Karampolovsky and Adam Garwood starting off row number 5.
That drag race to turn 1's going to be really interesting. So many times this weekend, we've seen the car off grid number 2 get the run into the chicane and lead through. We saw it in the race yesterday with Stephen Johnson ousting JB. So Adam Bressington, 350 cubic inch Chevy V8 compared to the 304 cubic inch Chev in JB's Tirana. Might have a little bit more grunt. He might get to turn 1 first, and that'll make it a very interesting race. The other story will be to watch Stephen Johnson. He starts from grid 18 in that WM Waste Management Ford Mustang. Just behind him are the IROC Challenge Porsches, race within a race in Touring Car Masters.
Ed Burkhardt's picking up the win yesterday, one of the regulars in the IROC class. Great to have them in the championship in 2017. Safety car heads in. It's a rolling start. If you haven't seen Touring Car Masters before, the rumble when they come past the start-finish line is incredible. But it's only a short run down to the centre chicane, and over the years, we've seen cars fan out and go across the inside part. Here we go for the start at race number 2. It's Bowe and Bressington, the Tirana, set to lead us down to the green flag, are underway in race number 2.
Really nice start, Bressington on the inside, so watch the yellow Camaro to run into the centre chicane, but I think JB's got the advantage around the outside. A little bit of hip and shoulder there. The Camaro's in a really good position and squeezes through. The former Ute racer, the Sydney sider, goes past, and White Line Racing leads up to turn 1. Hansford around the outside, so a couple of Tiranas warring over second and third, and Andy Fisher's in there as well. Hansford struck dramas and almost struck the fence. He's got problems, Matt.
What if that was happening through the chicane, because Bowe was pushed wide there too, as Garwood goes side by side with Tony Kay.
It's not steering, and I think he's got a broken steering arm, the left front corner of that car, yep.
What a shame. As he pulls off at the top of Hunt Street there, his race is over before half a lap is complete as the field fan out down Bartels Road, the famous Brock Straight, and down to the bottom we go with Adam Bressington leading John Bowe. Andrew Fisher on debut on his brand new car. I've given him the mockers here. He's gone off the track.
No Christmas card from him for you this year. P3 for a brand new car, and he's gone down the escape road at the end of Decatable Terrace. There's Stevie J charging his way through. He'll be in the top 10 by the end of this lap. In fact, he's already there. He's just gone round Brett Gilden and Tony Karampolovsky, so it'll get him somewhere near the top 6. And with Adam Bressington being in front of John Bowe, it's actually going to work for Stephen Johnson because it'll help drag him up towards the leaders quicker. Great run out the final corner. Holden v Chevy on the run down to turn 1. Bowe got a great run out the final turn, and he's clear and grabs the lead.
This Tirana, so well developed since its debut a couple of years ago now. He leads up Wakefield Street for Bressington. You've got Mark King in 3rd position. Behind them is Gomersall. New sponsorship down the side of the A9X two-door Tirana. As Bowe just bounced his way across the curb to the top of Wakefield Street. Went for a walk around the the circuit here last night. Shock Horror actually went for a walk, but certainly a lot bumpier in this section of the course down here, and there's some big gaps, big cracks starting to appear right in the apex of the turns.
I walked once, didn't like it very much. Mark King's been the big mover this weekend. Qualified the White Line Racing King Springs car 8th.
Oh, look at this.
Yeah, this is turn 1. On the opening lap on the rolling start, just a little Camaro into the door of Tirana. And JB had to take to the skies to avoid any further contact. So did Hansford before. So just need to keep an eye on car 6 and what caused that damage on the left front corner of the Multi-Spares Racing SLR 5000. And there was a little bit more of a rub. And got Bressington in front.
There was a bit of a stop-start effect at the top of Wakefield Street as well. He might have been involved. I saw him all queuing up on the inside. Here's some more replays happening. This is Johnson down the inside of Garwood, and Tony Kay wants a slice of the action too, and just drills the teenager around right in the driver's side door.
And continued on with it. Didn't get out of the throttle, did he? Oh, shame for Garwood. Brand new SLR 5000 Tirana for that team. Debut this weekend. A winner here last year. Now he needs to find a new door.
A dent in the fridge, the appliance white, number 12 Tirana.
I think Tony Kay felt that he could follow Stephen Johnson through. Some irony in that, because Stevie J was driving Tony Kay's car last year. A couple of Mustangs working through, Cameron Mason and Terry Lawler, new to the category. So that's dropped Garwood down to 16th place. To finish my point on Mark King, he qualified 8th. He worked his way then up to 5th place yesterday, running in the top 3 early in this race. But I think Jason Gomersale's actually just gone past the Chevy Camaro. So the A9X Tirana, indeed he has worked his way forward, and Andy Fisher's on the comeback trail as well after you put the Moslin in a couple of laps ago.
I just won't talk about him from now on for the rest of this race. He might appreciate that. Gomersale sweeping through turn number 8 with King on the back of him. Then it's Fisher. A fair gap then to Cam Tilley. And now Johnson in 7th position is down the inside. Goes Fisher and gets it done nicely. Johnson thought about the same on Cam Tilley, but we'll have to wait for another turn.
Didn't make the same mistake twice there, Andrew Fisher. Got the car stopped and turned in and goes past Mark King, who's just dropped a few spots. Might have lost a little bit of rhythm when Jason Gomersale went through, so he was 3rd. He's now back to P5, and Andrew Fisher, this beautifully built new GTHO Falcon. They run an older car for their debut in Touring Car Masters. It was a Group N historic touring car that had been converted, so it wasn't custom built for the category. Didn't have some of the freedoms that they're allowed to tune and develop on these cars. This is a from scratch build that Marty Brand from Independent Race Cars has had a big role in. It's a beautiful bit of construction, new livery this year, and Andrew really fired up about its performance so far. Look to the top of the screen, Johnson goes one way, then the other, looking to work his way past the big Valiant Pacer. And Cameron Tilley holds on.
So did I for a moment too. Top of Wakefield Street he goes through the staircase, just hoping this car holds on. It's down to Hutt Street we go. Gomersale watching him with Fisher, King and the rest of the field. Bow, a new record incidentally. He lowered the lap record yesterday and goes 1:29.28. The gap is 1.3 seconds to Bressington and a further 3 seconds to this battle we're watching now between Gomersale, Fisher and King.
Bressington going with JB here though, and very close to lap record pace on his own as well. So very, very good drive by the New South Welshman in the White Line Racing Camaros. This is the fight for 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th and 7th. Really good freight train, and how's the variety of cars? And Matt, you might look at these cars and go, oh, they're 1964 to 1978. How fast can they be? Well, the supercars are doing what? 1 minute 20s?
Yep.
We're doing 29s. These cars up Peter Brock straight on the run into turn 8, genuine 225 k's an hour in a straight line. Through the middle of turn 8, 180 k's an hour. That's pretty remarkable for some really classic machinery.
Well, it's fair to say they've always had the pace, the speed of the cars. They just couldn't pull the cars up.
Yeah.
So that's been the big change. We came here in 2007. We saw lap times in the 1:37s, and now we're heading into the 1:27 land. So a second each year. I'll take that any day of the week.
Jim Richards was following Brett Youlden around a couple of famous racing surnames. And speaking of, Johnson up the inside of Tilley, but Cameron will hold on here in the 265 Hemi and fights back and retakes the position. So just because he's got Stephen Johnson behind him in a car that theoretically should be faster than a 6-cylinder Valiant, he's fighting for that spot. Really good performance for the Anglam Oil car. Currently 6th. So Stephen Johnson from 18th to 7th in this race in 4 laps. Not a bad drive from the back of the field. And he'll really just be keen to finish a race, get some points on the board, go into tomorrow's trophy race, which is a reverse grid affair, and then get his championship underway. Now he goes down the inside at the hairpin. He went a little bit too deep back, locked the rears, and he goes up the escape road.
Cam Tilley was making him work for it, and then in traditional Johnson form, just lights the bags and disappears back up Wakefield Road. But a lot of ground lost behind Cam Tilley now.
Nice little flick spin, though.
Wasn't it? That's if the roundabout was still there. Could have gone right around it.
It's Adam Garwood, fresh from a little bit of contact with Tony Karafalowski early on, so he's back up to 14th place now, works his way past. And Jason Gomersall from 3rd. So that war we're watching for the final spot on the podium in this race has continued on, and Gomersall's gone around at the final corner. That's elevated Andrew Fisher into the top 3 in front of Mark King and Cameron Tilley. Gomersall, Pro-Am class champion last year in this amazing A9X, all of a sudden back to 6th place.
The 45-year-old with a bit of work to do now. At the top, the beautifully prepared Matt Stone Racing Tirana as locking the rears. You can see the chatter on the ground from the big fastback down the bottom, and Tilley saw this happening.
Pretty busy in the cockpit there, Stevie J, trying to catch a slide from a 1,500 kilo Ford Mustang. And nice work from Cameron Tilley. Saw that he was going down the inside, gave him enough room and avoided any contact on the bright blue Valiant. It's on the handbrake there by the looks of it, just with a nice handbrake here, and that's not very great for Gomersall.
And lucky to do it where he did. He's just missed the wall on the inside. You remember years ago, the wall used to be actually right out to there, and that's why it was moved. A high-speed lose for Gomersall, and lucky not to be speared by the 2 cars behind.
Almost had a couple of red cars parked in his door. As Yulden, who's got a little bit of damage to the left front corner of his HQ GTS 350, continues his scrap with Shannon's AMC Javelin. And Yulden's in strife. He's got problems. Locked the rears. Had a big slide. Stayed out of the tyres. We saw Cameron Mason do that early in the weekend in practice when he had an oil line fail and dumped a whole lot of fluid on the rear axle of that car. But that was Brett. I think just went in a little bit too hot, perhaps. He's lost 3 spots because of it. That elevates Jim Richards to 8th place. Started this race in 11th.
So Yulden drops to the back of this group. Also with the replay, and it's downhill. That camera's above this, but chance to get the walk down there. It does drop away very quickly, and that's how you lose 3 or 4 positions in the blink of an eye. He was gone well and truly before the turn.
Well, Brett will be happy that he hasn't put a scratch on his beautiful car, though. A little bit of damage, as I said, to the front bumper bar, but that'll buff out. Here's a look back at the IROC Challenge. They've raced within a race in the Touring Car Masters this year. They're joining us for 4 rounds. Sven Boykarts and the orange Porsche dicing with Bernie Stack, iconic South Australian racing driver whose history in the sport goes right back into the touring car days.
Yeah.
He's got Bathurst 1000 stars to his credit, privateer Group A Holdens, based up in Gawler in Adelaide's northern suburbs.
So doing a great job out there in the IROC class. Straining ahead right now is Sven Burkhardt. It's 18th and 19th, but that is your IROC Challenge class on the screen. Part of the championship this year. They run down to 7. Here's Adam Garwood through the sweep. But that's Wayne Mercer. I haven't seen much of Wayne Mercer this weekend. He's having a quiet run in this year's series so far. He's back in 12th place. Race
winner last year in the trophy race up in Darwin. He's the happiest man on the planet for a couple of hours after that happened.
What a place to do it at.
Oh, absolutely. The big GTHOs went well up there 12 months ago. Stephen Johnson got the victory driving GTHO there last year.
Oh, no, he's
2 laps in a row. Brett Yulden.
It'll drop him right behind these guys, maybe down to 14th position. And Garwood now locks the left front, the worst possible time. And now Mercer runs wide. And
bailing into pit lane was Cameron Tilley from 5th. So the Valiant Pacer, unfortunately, has had some dramas. I wonder if there might be some fluid down that, because they're all struggling massively for grip at the moment. And poor old Cameron Tilley, who battled with this car for most of last season, finally got all their overheating issues sorted at the end of the year, and the car was returned to its usual competitive self. He's been really fast all weekend long, but now sitting in pit lane. So that's elevated Stephen Johnson to P5, Jason Gomersall to 6th, and Jim Richards 7th. This is the fight for 3rd and 4th, and Mark King, who's having a really good weekend, as is Andrew Fisher in that brand new GTHO.
He's having a great day out, Mark King. Around the bottom there, finished 5th in the Pro Master class last year, 6th at Bathurst in qualifying, 2 4th positions for the man that was well known for his GT production racing in the late 90s and early 2000s, and the man behind King Springs.
They've made a few little tweaks to that Camaro in the off-season. It's sporting a nice new front splitter, which is an IROC spec car from the 70s in the States. So it's all good, all homologated. But just to get a bit of extra brake cooling in there with some new brake ducting and force some air into the radiator as well. That's a 265 Hemi straight 6. Attention. The man from Sydney's Northern Beaches up Manly Way.
It's not howling right now, and it's quiet down in pit lane.
Such a popular car, Matt.
Sounds cool, doesn't it?
Grabbed so much attention, and they ran a poll last year. They were thinking about putting a Hemi V8 in that car, and they got shot down on social media because everyone wanted to see the 6 continue on. I wonder if Cameron can bring us up to speed with what's going on with Team Pacer.
Yeah, Cameron Tilley dropped a cylinder.
Ouch.
Sums it up, doesn't it?
After running so well inside the top 5, the Glenham Transport, there he is. Pulls the earplugs out, fairly dejected, and climbs out of the Pacer. Here's John Bowe, out to 3.3 seconds on Adam Bressington. It's Fisher in 3rd position still, but some 4 seconds behind these first 2 guys. And Bowe, like he did at the end of 2016, where he got his 100th career pole in motorsport, which he's done nearly 3/4 of them in this category alone. It's looking pretty ominous here in race number 2 of the Touring Car Masters. We watch Johnson up to 5th position now.
If you don't look too closely, it could be Brock V. Johnson with delivery on that Tirana just behind. Jason, who was such a star performer last year. He qualified 2nd 3 times. Yet to win a race in TCM, but he's been so competitive. He won his class in the championship last year. This car beautifully prepared by Matt Stone Racing, so heavily involved in GT racing now, of course, in the Dunlop Super 2 series and running in Touring Car Masters. They're all also looking after the other Tirana in the field of Bob Wisely, who's on debut this weekend. That's one of Jason's old cars, so they've quite literally kept it in the family. JB's on his final lap. He's just edged away from Bressington over the last few tours. The gap 3.8 seconds and about to notch up what will be his 87th career victory in Touring Car Masters.
These staggering numbers, aren't they? He's been doing this for a long time. And now Alan Bowden, it was hard enough when he spun yesterday. He'll need clearance to turn this car around.
Thanks more than a roundabout. This thing's so long, you can
so
land a helicopter on the rear boot of that thing.
Imagine how many people can lay down on the boot.
Nickname's Cuzzo. He's got the whole family here this weekend. It's a real little family race team. They enjoy going motor racing, and it's great to see some different machinery in TCM as well, Matt. But it's been Tiranas. They won all 3 classes in the class in 2016, and they've started 2017 in just superb form. It'll be a 2nd win for John Bowe this year as he comes around. Final corner, we'll get the checkered flag to take out race 2, the Touring Car Masters. It's JB on the streets of Adelaide. He'll have to do it from the back of the field in the reverse grid race tomorrow, but he's 2 from 2 in TCM so far this year, and that checkered flag is all his.
He's that fast, and camera couldn't keep up with him on the main straight. Another win by 6 seconds. He did it by 5 seconds yesterday. Back to Bressington, Fisher in 3rd position. He's unstoppable. Like you said, tomorrow we flip it around and spice things up for the final race of the weekend. It's pretty famous names in that compound too.
It's Gary O'Brien, middle with the hat. He built this car, Bendigo Retro Muscle Cars. Terrific operator, just on the radio congratulating JB. He's a die-hard Holden fan. There's some rumours going around that he's looking at building a Ford for TCM in the future, which might shake up the establishment.
Yeah.
Not sure what the general fans will think of that.
Sure, that is a rumour. You know what rumours are like?
Oh, I know. So Bowe's the winner in race 2, the Clipsal 500 Adelaide. He beats Adam Bressington by just over 6 seconds, but Bressington has had a terrific weekend so far, and Andrew Fisher on the podium again in that brand new GTHO. Mark King improves 1 from yesterday to 4th. Johnson from the back of the field, 18th to 5th. Gomersal, Richards, Tilley, Karen Filosky, and Adam Garwood, despite being turned around, finishes behind Tony Kay in the final corner, and he was 10th place.
Wade Mercer over the page there in 11th position. Brett Youlden, a couple of spins for him in the HQ. Down to Rowan Little, and unfortunately for Tilley, O'Neill and Hansford, who went out on lap number 1.